All right, board members, it is 6 o'clock. I would like to officially call this meeting to order. And we do have another student rep. I recently saw her at the Board of Health meeting, so I'm not sure if she's going to make it tonight because she was there for an hour and a half with me, so we'll see if she's able to come. She did an excellent presentation down there. Yeah, I'll talk about it later. Anyway, we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance if our two student reps wouldn't mind leading us in that to start off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Board members, have you had a chance to look at the agenda this evening? It's my understanding there are no changes or corrections. So if there's a motion.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the agenda has passed. Now we will start with Superintendent Jesse for his report.
Great. Thank you, Board President Davidson, other board directors. Of course, we have our student reps, staff, and community members. I'm going to start off. It is already, I can't believe I'm saying this in January, but it is already, our 3 high schools are already gearing up for registration. So that's really something we've been working on, putting things together for us and our students, including those that are going to transition in from 8th to 9th grade. Some of those moves are scheduling. We'll have a presentation next month in regarding the academies and some of the pathways and the courses. In regards to SHS, Choice is also doing some work around ALE. So what are some of the courses, especially around credit recovery in particular? It's quite difficult right now to do credit recovery. So they're trying to switch up some things, especially to just look at when kids are behind. And maybe our student rep might want to comment maybe for a second on that. And then
ALE is alternative learning
experience. Yep, exactly. ALE, alternative learning experience. It's really kind of a customized way of providing course content to get credit for it. It's not like something you go hybrid and you can just plug and play on a computer. It's actually just kind of like almost in essence like kind of like tutoring, if you allow me, where you can actually just engage the kid, cover some basic content, some independent work, come back. It's a back and forth kind of arrangement. You can do some small group obviously around that as well. And then Cedar, man, they're taking off. I'm really proud about that team there. Project-based learning, they're really just tripling down. There's really a wonderful things that it's a very integrated approach. So it really integrates your academic core content along with your social emotional learning for kids, and then just project-based, so hands-on experiences. So the things that, a lot of high schoolers would love to do, that offers that opportunity for them. So I think it's just a matter of getting the word out. I think kind of county-wide, even down maybe into Thurston, because it is a unique experience to have a project-based learning high school in the region. And so just making sure folks know that. Cedar's been around for a long time, people know that, but I think some of the things that'll be really neat about that is also just about an experience, because there are multiple ways to get to graduating, but I think Choice's approach and in particular an alternative learning experience, an ALE experience, could be something that could also fit some specific needs for students who maybe choose to work, for example, and have to work during the day. And so sometimes those ALE experiences are really neat for them. So just wanted to highlight that. I think it's really wonderful, those things for it. I also will take an opportunity to talk specifically, we have some curriculum leads. So we have teacher leads who do work. They research things about their content area. They get up to date on that information, not only just around the content itself, but sometimes some of our requirements that come from the state. So they work together as a team and just really kind of inform some of our curricular choices that we have, as well as our professional development, just making sure people are up on those. So the curriculum leads, coming back from COVID, had some folks had tripled down in some of our advertising for those particular positions, but they came through, which is wonderful for us. So we have our teachers who will fill in for some of that content. As a smaller district, it's good to have those folks out there because there's just so many different specialized content areas, just music alone, is just one really good example of that. I'm going to highlight just for a second. Oftentimes when folks think about public schools, they think about, they're going to get their academics and they're going to talk about graduation. Maybe even the superintendent's going to talk about registration and getting those credits. Absolutely. But we offer a lot of things to support our students. Here for us, we have a number of students who need extra supports. So when we're talking about food, we've had recently a student, we were some outreach efforts with that particular student, kind of checking in. That particular student identified and said, I would love some extra food. I've been eating the same thing pretty much every night for the last month. And if anybody here has ever eaten the same thing every night for a month straight, it doesn't no longer taste good. Even pizza or cereal, I swear. And so the thing about that in this particular case is we have our family resource center. I just want to remind everybody about it. It is open to all of our students. If we can help and assist, there's additional things obviously that come with folks who qualify for other services, but I just want to put that out there that it's a real need. And so just remind us that we are here to help support them with not only food, but we have our brand new Mason Health school-based health center. It's quite a mouthful. It is open on Tuesdays and Fridays from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 so that we can get just basic local clinic, physical, and also some mental health supports for students who are seeking those out. We have a lot of information being pushed out there. Right now, I'm being told that we don't have a lot of outreach, but we're going to do some additional outreach efforts to make sure they're there and making sure that folks, when they do contact that it's a kind of a full week of being able to correspond if they're not open, how to correspond with them and when to get appointments. So, but just a reminder, it is open from 8:30 to 11:30 Tuesdays and Fridays. So I'm really proud about that. And that is located at the YMCA. So just about that information. Two last items, rather quick. One, bus drivers. We are always looking for bus drivers. If you're interested in a bus driver, maybe you're hearing me tonight and you've been hearing about bus drivers and you go, you know what? I just chip in. I'm going to help out the community. Come on down, be a bus driver for the rest of the school year. That's fine. We'll train you. We'll pay you for the training. We'll get you a CDL license. You'll have that license available to you. It would really be helpful. We have a number of students and families that would love to have more consistent busing. It's just been really tough. We'll continue to advertise. We'll continue to work on that issue, have day and night. I work on it myself. So if you're interested in being a bus driver, substitute bus driver, let us know. Just call the main office. We will help you out. Last, we have a replacement levy on the ballot. Just like to remind folks, it is a replacement levy. It is not a new levy, and the rate it's at per $1,000 assessed value is lower than the current posted levy. So folks, not looking to raise your taxes. We're actually looking to fund some basic supports, including counseling services for us librarians. We think about securities personnel, basic maintenance. Those are some of the things that we support through the levy, and so just wanted to give those facts out to folks if they have questions. We have that information right on the front of our website and has flyers all over town as well. So just wanted to put that out there. It's on the ballot, and that ballot is due on Valentine's Day, so February 14th. So with that, I'll hand it back to you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And thank you for always bringing up the bus driver situation and the levy. I've had my questions myself where people have asked, what are those yellow signs around town? Not everybody realizes that is for the school levy. And if you look at your ballot, it's the only thing that's on the ballot this time. And that it is a replacement. It's not on top of it. I think people forget that levies expire, and so they don't just keep adding to each other. So thank you for always clarifying those things. We appreciate it. Moving on to community comments. This evening, we don't have anything. We don't have anybody who signed up. I'm getting a head shake that we don't have anything online. So unless there's anybody here that would like to make a community comment, I guess we will move on then to the reports and recognitions section. So we always start with our student representatives, and I'm going to start with Nieves. I know I would love the rest of the people to hear some of what you did today too, so I hope you include that in your report for Choice.
At Choice, we have unfortunately been dealing with some understaffing issues due to the flu season, but we have been working really hard to bring in substitutes along with combining classes to ensure that our students are still getting the tools and information that they need. Today, I was accompanied by 2 of our middle school leadership students to the Mason County Health meeting where we talked about some of our projects targeting substance abuse prevention. So that was really cool. I know that a lot of our middle schoolers were really excited to join me with that. And they had a lot of personal experiences and a lot to say. So we've just been working around that to get more basic information out there for our students to know that, you know what, it's not embarrassing, you know, and that there is help available. So that has been going on. And along with, we are still working on signing up more students for our fish hatchery field trip that's coming up on the 7th of February. So some of the students can get more information about the environmental issues that we're currently dealing with. We have also been working on making some connections with the PUD, so our students can also go down there and see how we conduct our electricity and how we store it. So that's really exciting coming up. I also wanted to add into what Jessie was saying about our program to help students that are struggling to get their credits in. We have an after-school program out in our portables where teachers, they will switch out. So one of our teachers and a staff member will stay after school and provide that extra hour, those extra hours for the students that are not able to always make it, maybe in the mornings or during our afternoon classes. And that really just gives them an opportunity to work on whatever their credit that they're really focusing on, whether that's history or math. And just really having that extra tutor support has been really great. I know that a lot of our students have been really taking advantage of that. So that's been really nice to have.
All right, thank you. And I will go on to Angela for Cedar High School.
This week we are going to have a really busy week. So on Friday we are going to have a senior movie night, which we are inviting the whole schools and anybody who would want to come. We're going to be watching Pirates of the Caribbean in one of the new portables, actually. And we're actually having our dance next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday. And we're inviting Shelton High School, trying to advertise them more out there, Choice as well. And we also have, with our sweaters, we are having this like sort of thing where teachers call it swag, students call it merch, and some of the freshmen, including my little brother, are calling it drip. So we're having that. It's really fun. And some of the projects upcoming, we have an escape room so far for leadership, and we also have we're planting trees with, we're partnering with AmeriCorps and the Olympic College, and as well, but we do have a big concern with the intersect that students walk from the high school over to our school, because since it is in the morning and it is sometimes dark, as students are sometimes like they'll be walking and people don't drive how they're supposed to, and it's been a really big concern right now. Other than that, we also do have we're gonna have a mental day with our counselor and her counselor intern. It's gonna be I'm not sure, but it's gonna be throughout the day, and it's gonna be like ways to cope with mental health, because it is a big thing in our nowadays.
Thank you very much for your report. And Richard for Shelton High School.
Good evening. One notable achievement in Shelton High School is that Skills USA, not only in the mechatronics class did they build a hovercraft, they built a hovercraft, and then they took that hovercraft and then they competed with it, and then they did better than like basically everyone else, and now they're going to state for their hovercraft that they built, which is really cool. It's my understanding is that it's a bunch of like they took leaf blower motors and they like pointed them downwards, and so it like glides around on a surface. Really cool stuff. Also, the next theater production is happening, I want to say either the first or second week of February. It's kind of like a survival apocalyptic like comedy, so that should be fun. Basketball games are happening every week, boys and girls basketball. We have a lot of spirit out there. We're doing great, a lot of spirit in the stands, a lot of spirit on the court. Love to see that. A lot of cheers, it's a lot of fun. Come support the team, come support concessions. A lot of clubs are running concessions and generating just money. Oh yeah, like Jesse touched on, or Mr. Jesse touched on, we are starting registration. So get your kids, get them to look at what pathways there are at Shelton High School, because there are a lot of different options you can do. There's automotive, there's health science, there's agriculture, all those different things. So if your student is going into Shelton High School, start looking at that now, because there are a lot of incredible options. A notable event that's coming up is Deadlift for Donuts. And my understanding of how that works, it's to raise money for the powerlifting program. I think it's for every plate that you put on the bar. Like you get a donut, and so you pay to enter. And yeah. Finally, Tolo, there is a set date for that, which is March. I want to, now that I say it's set, I forgot. I think March 14th. I want to say March 14th. And I want to add to what Mr. Jesse said about the importance of the levy. One of the bigger complaints that I've heard from students is that there aren't enough people like in the hallways. Like we just have one person really, Nigel, that's like in charge of campus security and stuff. And so the levy will go to like supporting that kind of staff and getting more of that. So yeah, I think that's important. And that's all I have from Shelton High School.
All right, thank you all for your reports. Do board members have any questions or comments for our student representatives?
It's also called Flare.
Well, and my daughter number 2 will be registering for high school, so the reminder of that is simultaneously exciting and frightening. So, time goes by fast. All right, well, we will go to 5.02, which is an update from the Human Resources Department with Linda Arnold.
Quick little sound check. You hear me okay? Can you see me okay? There, now that's better. So Aaron's going to be my operator there. So tonight, let me just say this. I could probably talk all night about this topic, but I'm going to stick to my script so I don't stand up here for an hour. So, good evening. Tonight, I have just a quick staffing summary for you. And Aaron, if you just go ahead and go to slide 1. And here's what I plan to present to you. First, I'll give you a snapshot of staff levels by employee group as compared to the pre-pandemic levels. Then followed by a summary of recruitment strategies for the coming school year. And then we'll take a look at the budget and hiring timeline. Next slide, please. So, as you can see by the chart, we've been able to get back to our pre-pandemic staffing levels in all of our employee groups, except, as you can see highlighted in yellow, our substitutes and the occasional workers. And by the way, the occasional workers are people like the time clock keepers or people who help with testing, people who are there on occasion for us. So we are still lacking in substitutes for most of the employee groups, but if you've been looking at your personnel reports, you should have noticed that we are hiring steadily, maybe slowly, but steadily. So I would like to point out another note of interest is the number of administration in Shelton School District is almost back to pre-pandemic levels, but we're still lower than the average levels of like-sized districts. And I really intended to get that exact percentage for you, but time got away, but I'm happy to get it to you at a later date. Could you give me the next slide, please? So in terms of our recruitment strategies for 23-24, here's a brief summary of the actions we are taking. One, we are continually fine-tuning our hiring process and focusing on hiring quality, underlined quality staff, and hiring early so we can get a jump start on the best candidates before they sign on with other districts. Huge focus. We are also continuing to expand, grow what we already do, our recruitment efforts. And some of the ways that we're doing that include building first the budget capacity up front for recruitment activities. We are attending additional career fairs this year. We're making direct contact with other districts and colleges to inquire about possible candidates. And I'm saying that nicely, but we have no shame we're stealing people or attempting to. And we are also expanding our social media presence and tapping into online recruitment sources such as Indeed.com and Monster, I almost said Monster Inc., Monster.com. So we are continuing along those lines in our recruitment efforts. And then in the third bullet up there, we're focusing on growing our own programs. For an example, our secondary schools are exploring educational pathways to train students in the field of education, including paraeducators, custodial, food service workers, clerical, etc. And we also have partnerships with colleges and universities to support educational internships. We've hired some excellent teachers, counselors, nurses, others through having this relationship with our colleges and universities, and just us being willing to take on and train interns. It's been very successful. And then finally, we have increased the pay for non-represented positions. As you know, our represented positions, those have to be bargained. But pay such as for substitute teachers, substitute paras, substitute bus drivers, and other occasional workers, as mentioned earlier. And then we'll continue exploring those competitive increases in these positions so that we can get those sub numbers bolstered. And then I just want to make a little side note here. Our school bus driver shortage is not a shortage in our regular driver positions. It's a shortage of our substitute drivers who would take the routes of those drivers who might be absent for whatever reason. That is where our shortage is. And so we're really all out effort in trying to boost the substitute driver. And so I will just make a little plug to whoever's listening. If you would like to drive and become a substitute school bus driver, please contact me, 360-426-1687. We will get you hooked up. And it's an awesome, rewarding job, so I hope you really will consider. And then, last slide, please. And then on the screen is the budget and hiring timeline. At the far right of the page, I don't think you can see it very well, so I'll let you know what it is. On the far right of the page is, in red, is our former timeline in terms of budget and hiring. But rather than read through each one, I would really like to point out a couple of dates. The first one, key date up there, is February 21st. We will begin recruiting candidates because we know we have vacancies. We will have vacancies. We know what the historical data is. So in February, we'll begin recruiting. In the past, if you could see up there, there is no date because we didn't do it in the past. We waited for the whole process. Second date I'd like to point out is March 21st. Because of the process we've built, we will know exactly what positions we have need of at that time and can begin posting those specific positions. This used to happen anytime between June and August. Way, way, way too late for us to get first dibs on those quality candidates. or honestly even be able to find them. And the third date to look at is June 30th at the bottom. And that's the timeline for completing our hiring. Other than resignations that might occur over the summer, and that does happen. But as you know, in the past, we struggled to get staff hired in time for school to start. But I will say, when Superintendent Jesse came on board last year, one of the first things he did is worked with us to change up our budget and staffing timeline, which we really, really welcomed. And the result of that was, for the first time in my memory anyway, we had all of our classroom teachers hired before the start of school. An awesome concept. So we're looking forward to even fine-tuning that more this year as we begin working on it. So anyway, there we go. That completes my very quick presentation on staffing, and I would welcome any questions or comments.
Board members, feel free to go ahead with questions. Carla, do you have some questions for Linda?
I do have questions for Linda about her report. And so I thought it was a good point to talk about administrators. I feel like that's always out in the public. Oh, they're heavy on administrators. They're hiring all the people at the district office, and they're not working with kids. But I think that's very important that we're getting back up to our pre-COVID amount to have people for leadership roles and help build some of our programs. So that really wasn't a question, but I would be interested in hearing further about that, getting percentages.
You bet.
Then the question I have is that you said grow your own. Does that mean you would take a paraprofessional and help them get a teaching certificate, and how does that work?
Yes, Carla, and I didn't mention that one as an example. I was talking really about the example I used is that we would start with our students at that level, but we already are growing our own with paraeducators and growing them into teachers, probably more in the last couple of years than I've experienced in years prior to that. We have such an interest in paraeducators moving on through their program, and we support them heavily in their internships. We know who we have. These people are committed to Shelton. They're committed to our kids. We work, and our principals work quite a bit with our paraeducators to get them to that point. So that's a great question. That is another example of grow our own.
Yeah, I think that's great that we try and help our community members who know our community be a part of our school system. So I agree with that. And what do you think it is? What is the cause of lack of substitutes right now?
It's really hard. We rack our brains really. We talk about it every week. We talk about it, and we know it's not just Shelton School District. It's out there in the state, at least, and probably nationwide. We've done things like I mentioned, increasing our pay. We'll look at that some more. When we did increase the pay, we didn't just pick a number out of thin air. We took a look at what's being paid around the region. Okay. So there is the pay factor. I do think that probably the vaccination issue, I'll call it, prior probably had something to do with it, because once that was lifted, that's when we did start increasing our substitutes. But that wasn't the only thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer to your question, and I'm happy to hear all kinds of ideas so we could explore them further.
No, those are good speculation ideas, and thanks for sharing those.
You bet.
Well, Linda, you've done a very good job with your presentation. Thank you for explaining these things to us, especially the hiring timeline. That sounds wonderful. I was once hired 2 days before school started, and it's just not enough to get yourself ready.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Thank you for all the hard work you do for our district, the levy out there right now. I know you do a lot of work for Citizens for Shelton. You volunteer your time, and you're part of that. So thank you, Linda, for doing a wonderful job for Shelton.
Thank you, Carla. Appreciate it.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. I had seen a report talking about, finding people for working. I had seen a report where there's still an estimated 3 million people that have not re-entered the workforce, that were in the workforce before COVID. So there's a lot of people that are not back in the workforce, and everybody's feeling it, I think. The other question that I had, we're getting some of the staffing back up to pre-pandemic levels, but our student enrollment isn't necessarily up to pre-pandemic levels. So how are some of these certificated staff being utilized now, considering that student count is lower? Are we focusing on class sizes? Are we getting more nurses, librarians?
I can tell you what we are all doing is we are focusing on the strategic plan, and it is not, honestly, it's not a crapshoot. It's it's designed. All of our positions are purposeful, and when you look at your student enrollment, and then, but now we're staffing is pre-pandemic. I think, Richard, you mentioned it earlier. I think it was you wanting to have more people available for supervision. That's not the word you used, but honestly, I don't think we could ever have enough staff. That's my opinion, because our kids are too important to put a number on that. I don't know that that's answering, that's just me talking. I don't know if it's answering any kind of question that you might have, Sandy.
Well, I guess specifically I was wondering more about certificated staff. Having more supervision might not necessarily translate into certificated staff.
Right.
So was just...
Yeah, just to summarize, I think that the answer to that is every place we put staff, it's a concerted effort to meet the goals of our strategic plan. And we look at that, and it's student-based first.
Thank you.
On the admin staffing, you mentioned that we're still looking to fill some spots down the road. Do we have vacant spots, or are these spots that we need to define and budget down the road?
Yeah, I think we'll be taking a pretty good hard look at that during our budget planning process and what's needed, and how does that tie into the strategic plan, and being tactical about that.
Okay.
We only have one open admin position
Currently.
Right. And that probably won't change much, and we're not adding more. I don't want to make the perception that we're adding more out there. We're not adding more administrative positions.
Okay. And you mentioned stealing that we're stealing staff from other places. Stealing is good. For a couple of different reasons. A, we're getting people that are already ready to go. But two, it points towards the overall improvement of the district as a whole. People want to come here. Just so long as we're not losing anybody to, okay. And compared to other districts, our substitutes, bus drivers, are we on par with that, or is this a situation that is specifically Mason County?
It is not specifically Mason County.
Okay. That's all I got.
Thanks. And thank you for clarifying that, Wyeth, on the administrators.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Linda. And Sandy, I don't know if this is where you were going with the certificated positions, but as far as enrollment goes, it's my understanding we're not that far off of what we were. And so it's not like we've got much smaller classroom sizes for teachers either at this point. So I think that when it comes to that, and the need is the substitutes from what it sounds like. And what I hear from people that are involved in many other school districts is that busing is an issue and substitute teachers are an issue. And of course, with the pandemic, there were a lot of people that opted out of education or retired early. So I know that contributes to, just a lack of people that might fill some of those positions. But I hope that they certainly do take us up on it, that we do have local community members that might change their minds and take a look at that. I know different people have become emergency substitutes, and it sounds like with the help of your department, you've helped a lot of people get whatever training they have needed for a variety of positions. I'm frequently getting told from people that they appreciate your help and your guidance in a lot of different ways, whether that's from going from a paraeducator to a teacher, making that decision, or deciding to just become a paraeducator in the first place. So thank you very much for all of the help that you do with all of that. I appreciate the report. I'm very happy that, under Wyeth's direction, that we did change the timelines. I mean, you've been very happy with that. That's my indicator that this truly has worked and has been a good process, that, we're going to keep going with that. And it's also been something that I've seen. We have received staff from other school districts who didn't pass levies, and things got, their programs may have been shrunk in their school districts, and we have picked up people in the case of that. So I know that we get different people, and it sounds like with a lot of these things, the Shelton School District has become an attractive place to work. So I hope that we, I know that our administrative staff works very hard to make that the case. So I hope that we can keep up with all of that. Anyway, I don't mean to be so long-winded about all of that, but thank you very much for your report. And I think that that's it for questions, unless anyone has. Yeah, go
I had
right
one
ahead.
more thing to add. I just wanted to get a little bit of clarification. Have we looked into ESL paras and kind of more of that? I know that in our region, specifically in Shelton, we have a very big community of Hispanic students, and I know that a lot of the time, especially at the elementary level, a lot of those students need that extra enrichment. So I just kind of wanted to know how we've been doing with picking up more.
Huge emphasis for us, and we work really hard to recruit. Just as you mentioned, there's such a need, and we have awesome staff who are connected to the Latino community, and they're always giving us help in getting the word out. And then, of course, when we put information out, say like on social media or in the newspaper, it's translated. It comes down to that connecting with people one-on-one and taking them by the hand and helping them along on how do you become a paraeducator. People have to pass a test to become a paraeducator, and in Shelton School, sometimes there are language barriers to passing the test, and we have some things in place where we can help people and get them prepared for the test, so we do that.
Have we
Huge effort.
focused on some of our younger graduating students? I know that a lot of them, we have a pretty good stamp test that a lot of people are able to kind of get maybe like a middle line of how of just requirements that they're able to meet. So have we looked at kind of like, I know that we're growing into our paras, so I think that might be a really good opportunity to pick up on some bilingual paras.
Yes, I agree with you, and not so much maybe for the people who have recently graduated. I mean, we have processes out there to reach the general public, but those who have just graduated, not so much, but those who are about to graduate, we are helping them in the classroom. We are helping them to understand what it takes to pass the test or what they need to become a paraeducator. We're pretty active in that, actually. So, and I'd be happy to meet with you at any time and get your ideas on how we can reach those just graduated people.
Awesome. That was it for me, and I'm glad to hear that we are promoting that. I think that it's really important, and I think that it's going to attract us a lot more, and maybe even counties around us that need that extra support with dual language and that language barrier that we really struggle with. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Okay,
Linda.
thank you.
We appreciate your report. All right, we've got 5.03, which is the budget status reports for September, October, November, and December 2022. And this is with Brenda.
Good evening, President Davidson and Shelton School Board. Sorry to do 4 months at once, but time has gotten away from us being a little short-staffed in the business office for a while. So you have all the numbers. I'm just going to go through the latest December balances on each fund, if that's okay. I would like to talk about the general fund a little bit. As you've heard Superintendent Jesse state before in the past, we are pretty heavy on federal dollars in our budget. And to spend those, you have to spend your fund balance and you wait 30 days to claim them. So it does create a bit of a cash flow issue for us, especially with the heavy ESSER dollars we have right now. So that's some of what we're experiencing here. We ended December with $615,677.28. I'll talk about how enrollment plays into that in my next slide. I do have some enrollment information. Capital Projects Fund, we ended that with $15,301.48 in December. We did get some non-high payments for the capital projects we did at Shelton High School. And then we did have MAT costs that we had to cover and pay out, so that's why that balance dropped back down. Debt Service Fund, you see we're down because we had to pay the big bond payment on November 30th. So December ended with $384,450.83. We start building that back up for the next payment, which is June 1st. Associated Student Body Fund stays pretty steady. December balance, $613,492.96. Transportation Vehicle Fund, I would just want to say Don informed me we do have a bus that he thinks is going to be delivered very soon. So that's been on order for about 1.5 years now. But our December balance is $438,889.37. And then we do have our private purpose trust funds, which make up the Drake Scholarship, Mike Johnson Memorial, and the Bolk Memorial Scholarship, and that ended at $237,909.87. So I don't know if you want to ask questions on that before I go to enrollment, or if you want me to do the whole package first. Okay, I'll talk about enrollment then. Aaron, thank you. So we budget conservatively. We budgeted on 4,125 average FTE for the year. September through December, that's what apportionment from OSPI is paid to us on, is that 4,125 students. We currently have an average of 4,237.4 FTE. So on January 31st, next week, OSPI recalculates our apportionment, and they will pay us back to September for the enrollment we've had. So we're going to kick into actuals now, and it will fluctuate coming forward clear through August 31st based on what our average is for the year. So I did a little research. I took last year's enrollment just to see if we're seeing something different in the trend here, because for a few years before COVID, we had like a umbrella bubble that happened, and the past 2 years look almost identical, except we this year experienced the drop in November, and last year we didn't experience the big drop till December, so I'm not sure what created that. But the drops are almost identical in numbers that we're seeing, so that's a little bit of that. But so this is going to generate approximately right now with where we're at, if we don't continue dropping down, about $1 million above budget from OSPI, and they will be paying at the end of January 40.5% of that additional money because of the apportionment schedule and the percentages they pay out. So this, enrollment drives what we do for staffing and everything. So it's good. We're above budget by 112. So that's a good thing. So any questions on that?
And I will let board members ask questions if you have those first.
The difference in our enrollment would be slightly like 30 students. No.
From
No,
budget,
no.
it's 112.4.
60, okay.
Yeah, from budget, it's 112.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
no, I didn't really have a question about it.
Thanks, Carl.
Are the enrollments, we're seeing this different trend in dropping, is that across all schools? Is it from any specific school?
I actually looked at that too.
Yeah, I figured you probably did.
For the most part, everybody is staying steady. We had a drop of 12 at Oakland Bay and a drop of 19 at Shelton High School in January. But up to those grade levels and at Choice and Cedar, they're staying pretty steady, just like 1 or 2 fluctuation.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm always curious about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, does anybody have any other questions?
So Brenda, I hear rumors. In fact, I read a few on Facebook. I should be ashamed, but I have read some. And there is a rumor out there that we got a lot of money for COVID, and we're holding on to that money and we're not spending it. So could you just speak the truth to that topic?
So I'm guessing they're talking about the ESSER dollars, because there were 3 different pots from the federal government that related to COVID. There's a learning loss pot of money that we still have quite a bit of it, but we're being strategic on how we are using that in our strategic plan to help the students with the learning loss. It is a lot of money. The deadline to spend it is 2024. We are hoping the federal government, Wyeth has heard little rumors that they will extend it a year for us, and we are hoping that will happen because, it is a lot of money to spend. During COVID, we received a pot of money that we were able to use for the hot spots while there was online learning, that type of thing, Chromebooks, and that's mostly what we spent it on, the temperature checkers when you walked in the building. That whole pot of money, that's what that was spent on, was COVID-related costs, the PPE that people had to wear, the masks, that type of thing. So we really focused on that. But now the money that is there now, we are strategically looking, and if you want to take on to that, Wyatt.
Yeah, and I think whether that's these particular ESSER dollars that came from the federal government or in decades past when there's usually this influx of money for one initiative or another. I think the thing that I always like to remind people is, as a taxpayer, I want my money spent wisely, not just spent. So you can spend your money on things that don't really matter. In fact, for transparency purposes, we were spending some of our state and federal dollars not very wisely. You can go into a lot of schools that are Title I schools, and you see a bunch of curriculum just piled up because they just spent the money. Or that you have personnel out there working with folks that are not very well trained, in particular to supporting students and getting outcomes. We have to be very strategic about how we use our taxpayer dollars. These ESSER dollars are taxpayer dollars as well. And we have spent down well over $1 million on this last pot of money. All that the other 2 previous pot of money's gone. Those are gone, spent. A lot of that did relate to COVID-related things, but they also help support the portables that were really necessary for us. And then these dollars will get spent. It's not that they won't. I really do hope that the federal government, the Congress, does expand those, because the learning loss and making up learning loss isn't done over the course of 1 or 2 years. It's going to be many years. And I know I've talked to other superintendents. I was just talking to a superintendent locally. He's like, yeah, I'm having a hard time spending my money too, because also we can't hire a lot of people. We just had that conversation. So just think about that combination. One, got learning loss for a long time. We want to spend our money wisely, want to hire high quality people, can't hire them. So we just really got to kind of do the best we can and buy down with a long-term approach. So that's exactly what we're doing. I think we're being very proficient with it. Happy to walk through anyone. So I think we'll combo that. I know that request about some of the things that when we can talk about this spring about outcome data, I can couple that right with dollars. That is not a problem for us. because that's what our focus is, and I know you've heard that from both Linda and Brenda. So I just wanted to clarify that because I think it's such a big deal, and the misperceptions out there about how do school districts spend dollars? Why are you doing it? Why didn't you just spend down the money? And I'm like, well, I want to get outcomes for kids, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
And if I can tag on to that a little bit too, those dollars are federal dollars, so there are a lot of criteria when you spend them, and the state auditor will be auditing those because they are so large. They'll be our #1 audit. So.
I had a question about the expiration in 2024. Is that the end of 2024?
August 31st.
August
2024.
31st. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that what I have always struggled with being on the board is when we get these federal dollars that have this specific criteria is then how, because it's there as a support, but it ends. And as a school district, we only have so much money and we have to be able to continue what we're trying to do for students. So like you're saying, being strategic and thoughtful on how those supports are given, whether that's the influx of the summer supports and additional things that we can do to help students, but you can't exactly start multiple positions that you then can't fund going forward either. So I think, there's a lot of challenges to these dollars. There's more to it than just meets the eye. So yes, I think that always gets kind of complicated. Mm-hmm. As far as the general fund balance, that is lower than what I'm used to seeing up there.
It is.
And that is a lag in what we may be getting from?
Well, there was that too. The state changed the grant system for our federal grants, so you had to do them as a group this year, and you had to wait for every single one of them to be approved. So we did not see that till December apportionment. And then we are just approved now for the federal special ed grant, so we'll be receiving about $350,000 on January apportionment that we've been covering those 4 months. So
okay.
There's been a change in systems from OSPI that has created some of that this year also, along with having the big dollars being spent out.
Yes.
And having to spend your fund balance to do that. So.
Okay. And then where are we at with bus ridership? Was that count in October?
Yes.
And then it comes again in April, or is it every?
There's 3. I think February is the next one. There's 3 counts.
And are we still down? I would imagine we're down on bus ridership because we're down on routes.
We're not running routes, yeah. So that funding will be lower than we are used to because you don't get the money unless you have the kids on the bus.
Right.
So, yes.
Okay. I did want to check on that too. Are there any other questions at this time? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your budget report. Oh, and now we've got 5.04, which is the recognition of school board members in honor of January being School Board Recognition Month. And Superintendent Jesse's going to handle that.
Thanks, Board President Davidson. Yes, today we would like to recognize our school board members. What an outstanding group of folks. I think there's always these couple reminders of, one, they're volunteers. They're volunteering their time and the things they're trying to do to obviously make the Shelton School District the best it can be. And things that I think about this particular group of leaders is I think about them, for one, just their knowledge and understanding. Like, they're out there in the community. You can hear that from everyone. The directors, the student representatives, doing an outstanding job. Just they always got stories. They do other volunteering. It's not just this one. They do other things, and they have day jobs, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, and do some other things. So I think that's really amazing to not only just do that as a volunteer, come on these evenings, be a student, but it is also turning around and actually having a lot of knowledge because they're involved. They're leaders. And that's really going to help our school district. I also think about 2 other particular things. They're all knowledgeable about the strategic plan. They know what we're trying to focus on. The students tell stories. Here's what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And we also hear that from the directors, that they have questions. Why are we doing these things? How's that involved? Anywhere from our monies to our staffing to further about what are our initiatives. And the last part is they care about kids. this district, and not every board, I can say, puts students first. So I'm really proud to be the superintendent of this school district, to work with these fine folks to help us out, because the work we're doing and where we're headed, I challenge anybody to get out in the classroom, doesn't matter which school, come watch students learn. It's caught on. Staff are doing a really good job engaging. I had a national expert here last week. Man, these staff are really working hard to engage these high school students. That's not so easy, and they're doing extra efforts to do that. They also see kids reading in books. Never seen kids love books like this or write this much. The teachers are outstanding. Parents are really proud. So I think there's a lot. It will take us time. We are again coming off a pandemic, but this particular individual, I just want to say thank you so much for doing all the things, investing all your time and your commitment to the students in this community. So with that, you have a box of chocolates. Almost everybody loves chocolates, so there's no flowers. I know, Richard, you're a little heartbroken on there. But just making sure that the ladies down there, our board directors, have some chocolates. If you don't even like chocolates, you can always give them to a loved one, just to expand the gratitude. And then we also have certificates. So I'll come around, hand you a certificate just for you. And again, appreciation for all you do. It's quite outstanding, and that's why people are seeking out this particular school district, because of all your efforts. So I hope you see that. I really do. So with that, hopefully maybe we can get the crowd just to even give a little applause if we're at that.
Well, thank you very much. I know I myself love chocolate, so I'm probably not going to share it. It will just be mine. But no, and I always want to thank each and every one of you. I know from talking to each one of you myself how much you care about this community and the students and the service that you give to the school district. So I'm proud to work with each and every one of you, and our student representatives. You're wonderful to work with. Each one of you is so well-spoken and shows such great leadership. It's wonderful to have you on the board.
And I'd like a special round of applause, please.
Yes. Some of the best student reps we've ever had. All right, well, thank you very much for that. Now we will move on to the consent agenda, which just has a few things on it tonight. We've got the usual proposed minutes, the personnel report, and a proposed general fund warrant. Is there a motion, or are there any questions?
I would move to accept the consent agenda.
And I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the consent agenda has passed. And now we will go on to the one item under discussion and action items tonight is the proposed surplus of 10 school buses that have exceeded their life expectancy. This is recommended approval, and Brenda will give us some more details about that.
Good evening. One of the things that I can say about our Director of Transportation, Don Hall, he doesn't like to have things sitting around that we aren't using. And so we had already surplused a bunch of buses in the spring, and he came and he goes, there's more. They cannot be repaired. It's not cost effective. They're not worth it to get them on the road and pass inspection. So he comprised this 10 more vehicles, and he's making room for new buses on the lot. So we would like to request that these be surplused, and we probably have buyers that will buy them for scrap. That's what happened to the last group of buses. So I would request that you approve these to be surplused.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional questions for Brenda?
I'll jump in here real quick. Yeah, I did the math. 27-year-old school bus is really an old school bus. Mm-hmm. And so once we've surplused these 10, I would assume we have maybe the oldest school bus then might be a 2010. or do you know?
Probably
what
pretty
the-
close. I could look
pretty-
that up for you. I
Okay.
wrote the whole roster
Alrighty.
of them, but I did
And do you
not-
remember, do we know how many are in our fleet now?
There's probably about 45. That's a guess, but I can certainly get all those details and email it to the whole board. So, to you. You can send it. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that would be great to know.
yeah, we keep a active registry for insurance purposes, so I have it handy.
Yeah, 10 school buses sounds like a lot, but we haven't, it's not like they are being taken from a running fleet.
No,
They've been
these have
sitting
not
there.
been on the road.
Okay.
Yep.
And it is space.
Yes, yeah, it's always nice to clean things up.
Just out of curiosity, how much did we get in funds for surplusing the last bunch? Give me a good guess.
$6,000
Total?
total. When I-
So that's not a big fundraiser for the school
No.
district.
And that does go back in
surplusing buses.
the transportation vehicle fund because you have surplus a bus, so that helps to buy the new bus a little. but-
It goes directly back into
Yes.
the transportation fund.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, are there any other questions? Is there a motion?
I would move to surplus the buses.
And I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the surplus of 10 school buses that have exceeded their life expectancy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Hearing none, that has passed.
Thank you.
The surplus has passed. And that brings us to board member comments. I think I'll change it up tonight, and I'll start with you, Director Welander.
We need bus drivers, in case nobody's gotten that memo.
And you had wanted to be one.
I did. I got all trained. I had everything, and driving the bus is fun. I will say that. That's my big push. Driving the bus is fun. Couple of cool things coming up and we've already talked about it. I think it's super that we've got the school-based health clinic going. There's a lot of folks out there that, we've got a huge number of McKinney-Vento kids that may not be able to just run right out to the doctor's office and this is going to be something that's great for them. I constantly ask how we're doing and how do we know we're hitting the marks, and with the levy, I'm getting a lot of questions that are the same also. And as we foster and move along with our strategic plan, I would like to point out that our rates of discipline are going down and our attendance is up, and those are all very positive. So if people are asking, why, that's why. And one of the things, and this is a pet thing for me, and I heard a great report from the state superintendent, Chris Rickdahl, talking about social media and the hazards of social media. And I would implore parents and even students everywhere to try to get a handle on that. It's pointing towards a lot more depression, anxiety, problems just in general. And there's a lot more to it than that, and I don't want to get super long-winded, but this is a real thing that we've kind of let run away, and we need to get wrangled in as a society. But specifically as parents, we need to be paying better attention to our kids. And I will get some more information on the deadlift for donuts. I'm interested in multiple reasons. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Matt. All right, Director Tarswell.
Well, I missed the first meeting in January because it was my grandson's 18th birthday. That's kind of a special one. And then I've done a lot of traveling since then, so I don't have much to report. I think Carla filled in for me for agenda setting while I was gone, so thank you very much for that. And, it's good to just always hear what's going on in the schools and in the community. And everybody should have their ballots now. And go ahead and get those returned sooner rather than later.
All right, and Carla.
Yes. Well, I'd like to say that being honored tonight as a school board member is a real treat to get that kind of recognition. I take it very seriously. I think being a community volunteer is important Being a lifelong educator, it is just a wonderful place to be, to see the whole picture of education. So I wasn't always a great community volunteer until I met a fellow teacher, and he was a fellow, and I liked him a lot, and he told me that this is important. So I'm referring to Oz Johnston, who taught in the district for a number of years and coached, and he really convinced me that this is the most satisfying work. It's being a volunteer and promoting something that you believe in. We believed in the schools, so we always went out, promoted the levy and the bond, and I am just so happy that we still have those community people out there with us supporting it. And Shelton is an amazing community that has really supported our schools over the last 20 to 30 years that I've been here. So that's my report tonight. I'm happy to be a school board member in a great community.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for your help in volunteering as much as you've been doing with all of that lately, too. I do want to say that our board applications for the open position will come to a close tomorrow, and so then we will also be looking at interviewing those applicants, I believe it's next Tuesday, from what I understand.
Correct.
So the applicants will be reached out to, and we will be having that meeting for those of us that can attend by Zoom or in person. Before this, I'm a little, I've been in meetings all day long, and Nieves can attest to that. We were in a very lengthy Board of Health meeting, but it was a really good meeting. It was the first time we've met in person since 2 years. So they continued to do those by Zoom for a variety of reasons, but today was the first time we were able to be there in person. They have created a strategic plan for the next 2 years, and it was nice to see what they have been doing, and many of the things that they want to do for our community, of course, affect and can be worked on together with our school district, whether that's substance abuse, homelessness. We have a high smoking population here, and as we talk about our situations with vaping in the school, they were talking about the need for Narcan, and they were happy to hear that the Shelton School District did pass policy to have that, because they would like to have it in multiple locations throughout the community as a life-saving device. So it was a really good meeting, and it was nice to be able to discuss with them some of the ways that our school district is helping with their initiatives and how we can partner with that. And I do want to say, as I just mentioned, appreciate our student leadership so much, and I do want to highlight Nieves today because she did such a wonderful job presenting. I was very proud of you. It was wonderful to see. You were very well spoken. The presentation was wonderful. Every single person in there thought that you did such a great job. And they created posters, and it was wonderful because it was in a positive way too, of showing that, I think it was like 85% of students are not smoking. And the health director was even talking about putting that up as like a billboard, because while kids may think, I feel like I'm the only one that's not doing this, they can realize that actually there's a good majority that is not. And there were a lot of really positive, helpful ways that people could reach out and be connected and just have the conversation around substance and what they can do about it. And this was all student-led. So it was a really great presentation. I thought you did an excellent job speaking. Outside of that, just again, that Shelton High School and Cedar and Choice are all going through registration is very exciting, but it seems like it's coming up so fast. And I can't believe it's already the second board meeting in January. I feel like sometimes January goes by very slow, but here we are. Ballots are out. I hope people get out their vote, whatever that may be. The vote count is Valentine's Day, so just like it was, I think, 6 years ago, when it was our bond and levy at that point in time. So we've got another Valentine's Day vote. But I just want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing in the school district. I went to pick up my daughter today at OBJH, and it's little things like this that are highlighted to me. I was there early, so I chose to park over by the OBGH gym because I just wanted to be out of the way. And that's where the special needs kids are picked up. And I saw one of the workers, somebody, I didn't recognize them, but they work for the school district, and they came out with a student that needed a lot of assistance and just gave him a big high five as they got on the bus. And the kid had a huge smile on their face. And I think these are the people that we have working in our school district. They're making the connections, they're helping out our kids, and that's what it's all about. And then I get to see you two, all three of you, make wonderful speeches here and do a great presentation. And it does make me feel better about our community and the kids and the people that are coming up to be our next future leaders. So I'm going to leave it at that. At this point in time, if we have a motion to adjourn, we can adjourn our meeting because we have no reason for an executive session this evening.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no.
No?
You are outvoted, so we are adjourning. But if board members can stay for the signing of all of the paperwork, I would appreciate it.